There are so many different kinds of waxes on the market. Coconut wax, apricot wax, palm wax, beeswax, soy wax, paraffin wax. It's kind of overwhelming. To make the best wax melts, use a soy wax that's specifically created for tart waxes. The one that I use looks like this. It's called Golden Wax 494. You can get it in like really big boxes like this. Get it in 22.5 kilo boxes like this, and just use like a scoop that you've cleaned out to scoop out your wax with, just to keep it all nice and clean and your hands out of it and stuff like that. I keep mine in my original boxes because they come with this plastic bag, but a lot of people put them into plastic tins, and you can see it comes in these flakes like this that are really easy to melt because they have lots of high surface area. And then I also add a universal additive to my wax. It's called palm stearic acid, and what it does is it helps the fragrance bind to the wax better. And so when you're mixing later on, when I show you how to mix it all together, what the universal additive does is it takes the fragrance and the wax and binds them together, which creates that amazing scent throw, because the fragrance isn't just gonna like linger on the top of the wax, like, which is a potential for happening if you don't mix it correctly. And also the universal additive, which is just palm stearic acid. If you see that ingredient, palm stearic acid, then you know that you can use it. It's also universal additive. The palm stearic acid also, or the universal additive, see, I can use them multi-changed. It also helps harden the wax up just a little bit, and if you use it at the correct percentage, which later on when we get into the actual physical making of it, I'll show you the exact percentage to use. But when you get into, if you use that at a correct percentage, you can really up the hardness level of your wax and just make an awesome wax melt, which is exactly what we're going for. So when I'm making wax melts like this in the containers, then I will add the universal additive. But when I'm making wax melt bars like this, what I'm going to use is a combination of beeswax and soy wax and universal additive to really make this product. It's really important that this product remains like hard, because it's just in a bar of wax and it doesn't have the plastic casing protecting it. So when you're shipping it and things like that, you need to make sure that it maintains the shape and it doesn't melt. Whereas like this one has a little bit more leeway if it does melt. If you were to like ship it out to a customer or to a friend or loved one, then the melted wax would most likely stay in this container. We're just saying because, you know, like post goes crazy sometimes, but it would most likely to stay in the container and it won't be too trashed as compared to this. Like if this melted during shipment, then it would just be awful. And then you can also use palm wax to make a melt like this, and the palm wax creates this crystal pattern. Can you see that? And it's really pretty. And actually the soy wax melts, as they melt, like they'll just look like a ball of wax, just plain, but this will go to the crystal pattern after it melts. Like when a person puts it into their burner and then melts it and then it hardens again, it will still have the crystal pattern like this. And it's a really hard wax, so if you're in a really hot place, then palm wax would be a really good wax choice. Like when I lived up in the Pilbara in Western Australia, it was very hot. Like it didn't get below 30 degrees even in winter time, like extreme heat. So I had a problem with using soy wax. Not with my melts that I sent in containers. Like when I sent melts like this in containers, it was fine. But when I shipped them like as tarts, which I'll show you, like this. This is a tart, like a little block of wax that's just made in a mold, okay? But this is just made with soy wax, and of course it has the universal additive in it to make it a little bit harder, but it was too soft. And some customers actually reported, like I used these in an advent calendar, and so when some customers got them, they reported that they had melted and just smelled really nice, but they weren't pretty. So when you have to think about where your customer base is located, or where your current like headquarters is located, so that when you choose your wax that you're going to use, it's going to serve its purpose and maintain what it needs, its shape and its scent, and still looks good, because a lot of selling wax melts has to do with like presentation. How nice does this look? How well it's going to get to the customer, and is it going to actually perform at the end? Like if this was a smushed pile of wax at the end of shipment, it would still work. Like it would still, you could still put it in a burner, it would still smell nice, but it's not pretty anymore. And that is important for customers. Or even if you're sending it out for a Christmas present to somebody, they'll want it to look good at the end of it. That's the point. Presentation is key. Okay, we've talked about waxes, we've talked about equipment. Now let's get into actually making some melts and understanding percentages of fragrance oil that we're going to need, and the different types of fragrance oil that's out on the market.